Tonight, as you settle in and let the soft crackle of an imagined campfire warm your thoughts, I'd like to invite you into a gentle question that stirs just a little curiosity. What did the world feel like when almost everything was covered in snow and every breath hung in the air like a quiet whisper? Let yourself slow down. Feel the calm, the drowsy comfort, the softness creeping in at the edges. This is your moment to unwind. And now, we ease into the beginning of our story, stepping into a frozen land where every sound is softened and every movement feels wrapped in a blanket of stillness. Before we go any deeper, may I ask something simple? From which country are you listening tonight? And what time is it where you are? I'd truly love to know. And before we continue, if peaceful history like this helps you rest, feel free to tap like, subscribe, and leave a quiet comment. It helps others find this gentle space too, and it encourages me to keep creating stories to accompany you to sleep. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of an ancient snowy plain, the air crisp but not harsh, the ground stretching out endlessly like a smooth sheet of pale silver. The world feels slow, very slow. Even the light moves softly here, as though the sun has decided to whisper instead of shine. Nothing rushes you. Nothing pulls on your thoughts. In this stillness, even your breathing feels as though it blends seamlessly with the cold air around you. As we take our early steps into the Ice Age, notice how your mind begins to settle into the pace of this world. People who lived here long ago didn't sprint through their days. They moved thoughtfully, gently, with patience shaped by the cold. As we follow their footsteps, we borrow their rhythm, quiet, steady, and calm enough to let your shoulders soften. In this vast cold world, early humans were careful observers. They listened to the land before acting. The soft crunch of snow beneath their feet, the distant rumble of shifting ice, the faint sigh of wind skimming along frozen ground. These sounds taught them where to go and how to stay safe. And as you listen to this story, your mind may begin to tune itself the same way, noticing small, soothing details while letting bigger worries drift far away. Let's walk a bit farther, slowly, as if brushing a hand along untouched snow. The colors around us are gentle, white, silver, hints of muted blue. But instead of feeling empty, the landscape feels calm, peaceful. As you imagine this scene, you might notice your eyelids growing heavier, your breathing slower. That's the quiet rhythm of this world guiding you deeper into rest. Every so often, early humans would stop and simply breathe into the cold air. Their breath floated upward like a soft cloud before disappearing into the sky. These pauses weren't dramatic, they were part of life. Tonight, these pauses become part of your ritual as well. The more aware you become of the stillness, the easier it becomes to drift into rest. And if your mind wanders, that is completely fine. Wandering is part of relaxing. Even in the coldest nights, the world offered small comforts. The warmth of a fire, the shelter of simple structures, and the closeness of a group created a feeling of safety and belonging. People gathered near the fire, listening to its soft crackle, a warmth granted through the means provided by the one who governs all things. That warmth, gentle and steady, is the same feeling we invite into this story. As you imagine the snowy landscape expanding around you, feel how the rhythm of the story descends again, becoming slower and softer. The Ice Age wasn't always harsh or frightening. Many nights were peaceful, deeply peaceful, and that same quiet is settling around your thoughts right now, like a blanket of rest stretching toward the edges of your mind. Let's move closer to a small group gathered around a modest fire. The flames glow orange against the pale snow, their light flickering gently across fur-lined clothing. No one speaks loudly. Voices stay soft, conversation simple and steady. The fire becomes the center of attention, not dramatic, just comforting, much like the soft soundscape surrounding you tonight. Here's a gentle reminder, as our story continues, that you're safe to relax, safe to feel sleepy, safe to let the day fade behind you. There is no urgency here, no expectations, just a slow, quiet journey through a world covered in snow. Tonight, we are only observing, no rushing. Just as early humans moved slowly and thoughtfully through their environment, we take our time in this story. The cold guided their steps, but it didn't control them. They watched, listened, and responded with calm understanding. As you listen, you may feel that same sense of patient awareness, a peaceful state that supports deep rest. The sky above them was often soft and grey, clouds drifting slowly across the horizon. With so few loud sounds in their world, people relied on tiny cues to understand what was happening around them. The distant crunch of animal steps, or a faint movement in the air, told them everything they needed. The world spoke quietly, and they learned to hear its subtle messages. And as you listen now, you may feel your own thoughts softening. Slow history doesn't push or demand attention. It simply moves like a gentle stream beneath the snow. It wraps you in stillness, offering a place to rest without needing to reach any conclusion. Before we ease into the final stretch of this first part of our journey, allow yourself a long breath. No rush. Just one slow inhale and a soft exhale. Feel the weight of the day sliding away, leaving space for calm. This is another reminder that you are safe to let go. We are still walking through the quiet world of ice, where every moment is soft, unhurried, and ready to guide you deeper into rest. As we continue along the snowy path, imagine stepping softly beside a frozen hillside where the wind moves like a slow whisper. Early humans often traveled in small groups, keeping close enough to share warmth but spaced just enough to move comfortably through the drifts. Their pace was steady, not hurried, shaped by the understanding that conserving energy was more important than arriving quickly. And as you follow their steps, you might feel your own breathing settling into that same slow rhythm. The cold world around them wasn't completely silent. Sometimes the distant cracking of ice echoed faintly across the plains, reminding them that the landscape itself was alive with movement. But the sound wasn't frightening. It was simply part of the environment, a natural reminder that the land shifted and breathed in its own slow way. In this moment, allow those imagined sounds to soothe your thoughts the way they once soothed people walking through this ancient world. Up ahead, the group pauses at a small rise overlooking a wide, snow-covered valley. The view is incredibly peaceful. Nothing moves except a thin trail of wind brushing along the surface of the snow. Even the sky feels still, like a soft blanket stretched across the horizon. These pauses served a purpose for early humans. They allowed them to observe, to rest, and to feel connected to the land they relied on. And for you, it becomes another cue to unwind further. Every 2 minutes or so, I'll keep offering gentle reminders, just like this one, that you are safe, relaxed, and welcome to drift. This is one of those reminders. If your mind wants to soften or your eyes want to close, let it happen naturally. This story is here to guide you, not to hold you awake. The group shifts their attention to the snow beneath their feet. Footprints, both human and animal, crisscross the flattened surface. Some trails belong to reindeer passing through, others to smaller creatures like Arctic hares or foxes. Early humans read these markings like an open book, understanding who moved where and how long ago. Tonight, imagine yourself leaning in to examine these soft impressions, the world quiet enough for you to notice every detail without effort. As you study the tracks, notice how gently the story slows again. In a sleep-focused journey like this, rhythm matters. The slow descent into calm, the soft hum of a world without haste. The Ice Age offered that naturally. Nothing moved quickly. Every action had to be measured, thoughtful, and steady. And as you sink into that same pace, your thoughts begin to quiet in the same way. Soon, the group begins walking again, following a gentle downward slope. Their fur-lined clothing rustles softly, the sound blending with the crunch of snow beneath their feet. These everyday noises were comforting to them, familiar and predictable. Imagine walking alongside them, matching their steps, your body feeling just warm enough, your mind drifting just deep enough. Not far ahead, they reach a sheltered cluster of frost-covered rocks, shaped by years of cold wind carving through the landscape. Places like this offered brief refuge from the breeze, allowing the group to gather and adjust their belongings. Here, they might share a quiet moment, maybe passing along a warm drink or adjusting their clothing. Nothing rushed, nothing loud. Just the kind of slow, simple human interaction that feels grounding. As you imagine this, Here's another soft reminder. You're doing well. It's okay to feel sleepy. Okay to let your attention drift between the story and your own calm thoughts. This experience isn't about focus. It's about gently letting go. The group now looks toward the horizon again. The light has shifted slightly, turning the snow a faint shade of blue. The time of day doesn't change quickly in this world. Everything has a gradual, gentle progression. Early humans used these subtle shifts in color as their clock, knowing when to rest, when to move, and when to prepare for the night. In this moment, you may feel your own internal rhythms aligning with that slow, ancient sense of time. As the wind quiets, a thoughtful silence settles around the group. They continue their journey, but more slowly now, letting the natural stillness guide their steps. Your thoughts may feel similarly slow, drifting like snowflakes that fall gently without direction. Allow that feeling to deepen. This is exactly how calming history is meant to feel. Far in the distance, a few animals move across the snowy field, perhaps reindeer or ancient bison, their shapes faint but recognizable. The humans watch them peacefully, not alarmed, simply curious. The animals move with the same slow care, navigating the cold landscape with ease. This shared quiet between humans and animals was common in the Ice Age. Both respected the space they lived in, moving with calm awareness. The group continues onward until they reach a familiar place, a small clearing surrounded by low snowdrifts. It's not a destination, just a quiet moment along the path. They pause again, letting the wind settle and the calm deepen. Imagine standing beside them, the cold gentle, the silence soothing. This is another natural point in the rhythm of the story where your mind can soften even more. As the sky darkens slightly, the world doesn't feel threatening, only quieter, softer, more peaceful. Early humans often use these moments to reflect, to breathe, and to prepare for rest. You can do the same. Feel the warmth of your blankets or the comfort of your pillows supporting you, much like the warmth of a small fire once supported them. And now, we end this segment without any need for resolution. Just a gentle fade into the snowy landscape, where humans and the frozen world existed together in a calm, steady balance. Let the quiet stay with you as you drift, wrapped in the softness of this ancient world, ready for sleep or simply for deeper peace. Tonight, as we begin this next quiet journey, imagine yourself stepping onto a snow-covered plain where the ground is like a vast white canvas. Every mark, every indentation, every soft curve in the snow carries a quiet message. Early humans walked these fields not with haste, but with a thoughtful calm, aware that the land offered clues to everything: food, safety, direction, and change. The cold air touches your imagination gently, encouraging your breathing to slow. And as the world around us settles into its familiar softness, we step closer to the ancient practice of reading the frost beneath our feet. Before moving further, take a moment to notice where you're listening from and what time it is there. The Ice Age world we're exploring was shaped by rhythms of day and night that move slowly, almost imperceptibly. Even now, the pace of this story asks nothing from you. Just listen. Just drift. This segment will carry you through the quiet art of how humans understood their land by watching only the simplest signs nature provided. Imagine a vast stretch of snow in front of you, smooth except for a series of delicate impressions curving across the surface. Early humans learned to read these impressions the way we read words on a page. A deep print might indicate a heavy animal. A sharp, narrow pattern might belong to a lighter creature moving quickly. Each step left behind a story. And in this frozen world, stories were precious. They guided decisions, protected families, and offered knowledge of the world even when no voices spoke. As you follow these imagined tracks, your pace becomes slower. The cold world invites patience. Early humans would kneel down, gently brushing the snow with gloved hands, studying the depth and direction of each print. They didn't see the land as empty or silent. To them, it was full of signs waiting to be noticed. And as you imagine their quiet study, your mind may find itself drawn into that same soft concentration, comfortable, unhurried, drifting steadily downward. Some footprints belong to reindeer, recognizable by their wide, rounded impressions. Reindeer herds left paths like long, gentle strokes across the plains. When humans found these trails, they often followed, not to chase recklessly, but to travel safely. The reindeer understood the lay of the land, the firmness of the ice, the shallow places where snow hid dips in the earth. By following them, humans learned too. And tonight, you follow the same gentle path, letting the story guide your thoughts like a slow, wandering stream. Other tracks belonged to wolves. These prints were smaller, neater, more defined. Humans respected wolves' movements, not in fear, but in careful observation. Wolves knew how to navigate the snow's hidden dangers and where prey might be found. Even when humans kept distance, they learned from this natural wisdom. Just as you, in this quiet moment, learn from imagining their careful footsteps, steady, deliberate, leaving soft patterns across the frost. Every 2 minutes or so, I'll offer gentle reminders like this one. You're safe to drift. There's no destination here. No urgency. Just the steady unfolding of a world where footprints told stories and silence offered guidance. If you feel your thoughts becoming softer or slower, you're moving in the right direction. Now imagine crouching beside a fresh set of tracks, the cold air soft against your face. Early humans often examined not just the shape of a footprint, but also the way snow was compressed around it. A crisp edge meant the animal had passed recently. A softened outline meant hours had gone by. This simple understanding helped them plan their next steps with calm certainty. And as you picture this moment, your mind may settle even more deeply into the pace of their world. Sometimes, humans found footprints intertwined with signs of struggle, scratches in the snow, scattered frost, or deeper impressions suggesting a sudden turn. These signs told of predator and prey, of nature's ongoing balance. Yet even scenes like these were not interpreted with fear. They were simply accepted as part of the land's rhythm, a reminder that every creature moved with purpose in this frozen environment. The group following these tracks walk slowly. The snow muffles their footsteps, creating a soft crunching rhythm that blends with the wind. Fur-lined clothing rustles gently. These sounds, subtle and comforting, are the same kinds of sounds that can help your mind release tension. Imagine walking with them, each step bringing you deeper into the calming flow of the landscape. Ahead, they discover a place where several trails intersect. This was common near frozen rivers or sheltered valleys where animals gathered. For early humans, intersections like these acted as natural signposts, offering clues about movement patterns and the safest routes to follow. Tonight, this moment becomes another soft transition for you, a pause, a breath, a settling of your thoughts into something steady and peaceful. A bird's light footprints scatter across the snow, delicate and shallow. These tiny marks told early humans about the presence of smaller animals nearby, sometimes hinting at weather changes. Birds often moved before storms, their tracks disappearing quickly as winds picked up. Even these faint patterns were meaningful. And as we observe them together, your awareness may shift to the gentle details of your own surroundings, the warmth of your blanket, the softness of your pillow, the quiet hum of your room. As you continue along the trail, imagine the world growing quieter still. Snow-covered plains often absorb sound, creating a natural hush that softened every movement. Early humans lived within this quiet as naturally as breathing. It taught them patience, sharpened their senses, and allowed them to listen to the land without distraction. And now, it wraps around your imagination, inviting your thoughts to rest. A set of larger prints appears near a cluster of frost-covered bushes, perhaps bison, moving slowly in small herds. Their tracks were heavy, pressed deep into the ground. Early humans respected these powerful creatures and kept a careful distance. But their presence was reassuring too. Where bison traveled, the land was usually safe and stable. Tonight, that stability becomes part of your own sense of calm. Near the tracks, the humans pause again, taking in the landscape. Long stretches of snow resemble gentle waves, rising and falling like a frozen sea. The wind brushes lightly against their clothing. They listen, observe, and continue with quiet confidence. This moment becomes another soft anchor in the rhythm of the story, a reminder that simple awareness can bring deep comfort. At the end of this part, imagine the group continuing onward, following the fading footprints across the snow. There's no rush, no destination needed, just the soft guidance of the land and the peaceful rhythm of walking through a world made of frost and breath. The scene settles, gently, without conclusion, inviting you to drift deeper into rest as the path unfolds quietly ahead. As the group moves further across the snowy plain, the wind softens, creating a quiet that feels almost like a gentle embrace. The snow beneath their feet carries a faint shimmer, reflecting what little daylight remains. Early humans understood that the land spoke through these small details: the sharpness of a print, the direction of a trail, the firmness of the ice beneath the surface. Each observation helped them make decisions that kept them safe. As you imagine walking beside them now, you may find your own thoughts slowing into that same careful, peaceful awareness. Ahead, the travelers approach a narrow frozen stream. Along its edge, delicate patterns ripple across the snow where small animals have come to drink. The footprints cross over one another, layering stories of nighttime visitors and early morning wanderers. Humans paused at places like this, not only for water but for information. The stream acted as a gathering point for life in the cold, offering hints about where herds moved and where shelter might be found. Picture yourself standing there too, feeling the quiet confidence that comes from understanding your surroundings. A faint trail of deeper prints stretches away from the stream, likely left by a young mammoth moving slowly through the valley. Early humans recognized these massive impressions immediately: wide, rounded, heavy, with a steady pace. Mammoths were gentle but powerful beings, and their movements revealed much about the terrain. If a mammoth walked across the ice safely, humans could usually follow. And so, the group studies the trail with respect, reading the land through the footsteps of the large creature that passed before them. As they continue, the light begins to shift again, turning the snow into shades of soft lavender and grey. The humans adjust their pace naturally, guided by the subtle dimming of the sky. Evening in the Ice Age didn't fall abruptly. Instead, it arrived slowly like a blanket settling over the land. And in this fading light, the world grows even calmer. This hush acts as another gentle reminder for you. It's safe to relax, safe to drift deeper, safe to let your thoughts melt into the story. Far across the plain, faint lines of footprints stretch in winding patterns. These belong to smaller herds, perhaps wild horses or caribou. Their tracks curved around natural obstacles, choosing the safest paths through the snow. Early humans often followed these trails, trusting the instincts of animals that were intimately familiar with the landscape. Tonight, imagine tracing these winding paths with your eyes, watching them lead softly toward the horizon without urgency or expectation. Closer to the group, signs of recent activity appear: scattered snow, shallow impressions, and a few tufts of fur caught on low branches. These small details hinted at animal movement just hours before. Early humans learned to interpret these clues with patience, understanding that each trace told a part of a larger story unfolding across the land. As you picture these subtle signs, your mind may feel the same gentle pull into quiet concentration, the kind that naturally softens into sleepiness. The group eventually finds a gentle slope leading toward a cluster of frost-covered hills. Footprints here grow fewer, more spaced out, suggesting animals had passed long before. Still, the land holds their memory in the softened marks left behind. Early humans knew that even old tracks carried value, showing favored routes, safe corridors, or areas where predators rarely roamed. Imagine yourself studying these soft impressions, feeling the slow confidence that comes from simply noticing. As they climb the slope, the travelers move with a practiced ease. Their fur-lined clothing brushes softly against their sides, and their footsteps crunch lightly in the snow. The quiet rhythm of movement, the soft repetition of each step, becomes soothing, almost hypnotic. In the same way, this rhythm may help your thoughts loosen, like snow falling gently from a branch. At the top of the slope, the group pauses once more. From here, the land spreads out like a vast white tapestry filled with faint, winding paths. Some trails are clear, others barely visible. But early humans understood that every mark, whether bold or fading, contributed to the knowledge that kept them safe. They didn't need perfect clarity, just enough signs to guide them forward. And as you imagine this view, you may feel your own thoughts settling into a quiet trust in the path ahead. The wind grows softer still, brushing faint patterns across the snow. The group watches as tiny eddies of powder dance across the surface, reshaping old footprints and smoothing new ones. It's a reminder that the land is always shifting, always renewing. Early humans adapted gently, accepting this natural change without worry. Tonight, this gentle acceptance becomes part of your own calm, an invitation to release tension and let your thoughts settle where they wish. In the fading light, the travelers begin descending the slope, following a fresh set of tracks heading toward a sheltered valley. The path is clear but not rushed. Their movement carries the same patient rhythm as before, and in this slow descent, the world feels close, quiet, and protective. The valley ahead promises rest, shelter, and warmth, just as the story now guides your mind toward deeper ease. Near the foot of the slope, the group reaches a small cluster of wind-smooth rocks. These natural formations act as a resting point, shielding them from the breeze. Here, the footprints fade, blending into untouched snow. Early humans accepted these moments with calm, pausing, observing, and preparing to continue with renewed clarity. Imagine standing there too, the stillness around you deep and comforting. The sky dims further, the last hints of daylight slipping behind the horizon. The tracks ahead will grow harder to read in the dark. Yet there is no sense of urgency. The group understands the land, and they move according to its rhythm, not against it. This moment becomes another gentle anchor for you, an invitation to slow your breathing and let your mind sink deeper into rest. As the night settles, the landscape becomes a soft, endless field of pale shadows. The travelers move quietly toward their shelter, guided by memory, instinct, and the faint traces of the day's footprints. Their journey ends not with a conclusion, but with calm continuation. And for you, this ending is simply a gentle pause, a place where the story softens into silence, ready to follow you into whatever quiet your night holds. Tonight, we walk into a quieter part of the Ice Age world, a place where enormous shapes move slowly through pale light, leaving deep, steady impressions in the snow. These were the mammoths, towering yet gentle beings whose presence shaped the lives of early humans. Imagine standing at a distance where you can feel their size without feeling threatened. Their slow, rhythmic steps send faint vibrations through the frozen ground, like a heartbeat of the ancient world. As we begin this segment, let your breathing fall into that same steady pattern, soft and unhurried. Take a moment to notice where you are listening from tonight, and what hour it is in your part of the world. The Ice Age was a place where time passed differently, less rushed, guided by nature rather than clocks. As you ground yourself in your own time and place, this story invites you to slip gently into the calm pace of a landscape ruled by quiet giants moving through the cold. Imagine watching a mammoth herd moving across a snow-covered valley. Their long, curved tusks gleam faintly under the soft winter light, and their thick fur sways gently with every step. The air around them holds a calm weight, as if their presence steadies the world itself. Early humans often observed mammoths from afar, not with fear, but with respect. These animals understood the land deeply. By watching them, humans learned where the snow was stable, where hidden water lay beneath the ice, and where predators avoided. As the herd moves, their massive feet press deeply into the snow, creating broad, clear trails that guide anyone who follows. Early humans sometimes used these trails as safe pathways, trusting the mammoth's instinct for solid ground. Picture yourself walking beside those tracks now, the impressions wide, smooth, and reassuring. The quiet thud of each mammoth step becomes part of the soft rhythm guiding your mind toward greater calm. When mammoths paused to rest or feed, they often chose sheltered areas where the wind passed gently through tall grasses frozen in place. These spots became landmarks for early humans. A place a mammoth trusted was often a place where others could feel safe too. Imagine stepping into one of these calm pockets in the landscape, where the quiet feels deeper, the cold softer, and the world momentarily still. Sometimes, early humans would watch a matriarch, the wise leader of the herd, guide the group across ridges and valleys. Her movements were slow but certain, shaped by years of experience. She knew where storms gathered, where rivers froze unevenly, and where shelter could be found. Observing her was like reading the land itself. And as you imagine her steady, deliberate pace, your own thoughts may begin to move with that same gentleness. Here's a soft reminder: you're welcome to drift as much as you'd like. This story isn't meant to hold your attention tightly. It's meant to give you room to relax. If your thoughts begin to fade or wander, let them. That's part of sinking into the calm of the Ice Age. Imagine now the warm breath of a mammoth rising into the cold air, creating clouds that drift upward like slow-moving mist. The herd communicates with deep, almost inaudible rumbles, vibrations felt more than heard. These vibrations travel through the ground, reaching other mammoths across long distances. Early humans could sometimes sense these tremors too, subtle reminders that they weren't alone in the vast snowy world. When the mammoths grazed, their trunks swept along the ground, brushing away snow to reveal frozen grasses beneath. This simple act taught early humans where edible plants might be found in winter. The land didn't always reveal its food easily, but watching these creatures offered clues. Tonight, imagine that sweeping motion, soft, repetitive, calming, like a quiet lullaby sung by the landscape. The sun hangs low as the herd continues its slow journey. Light glows softly on the mammoth's fur, making them appear almost golden against the icy earth. Early humans sometimes followed them at a respectful distance, gathering information about the terrain. The mammoth's familiarity with the land became a guiding thread woven through daily survival. And as we follow them now in imagination, that same thread guides your thoughts toward gentle rest. A young mammoth stumbles slightly on uneven snow, then regains balance as the adults shift protectively around it. The herd's unity, their instinctive care, offered early humans a quiet lesson. Survival was easier when done together. No loud calls or hurried movements, just steady presence and gentle support. This sense of quiet companionship is something you may feel as well, knowing you're safe within the stillness of this story. The cold wind softens as the herd approaches a natural ridge. Snow collects between their fur strands, turning them into slow-moving mountains of white and brown. Humans observed how mammoths handled cold. They moved steadily, conserved energy, and found warmth through closeness. These were lessons written into daily life, absorbed simply by watching. And as you imagine the scene, the calm of their movements may settle deeper into your breath. At times, the mammoths would pause simply to listen. Their large ears, though lightly furred, could sense distant vibrations in the snow. They understood their environment through sound, touch, and instinct. Early humans admired this ability and learned to listen to the land more intentionally, reading subtle cues instead of relying on sight alone. Tonight, you're welcome to do the same. Listen to the softness within and around you. As the day moves on, the herd slowly shifts direction, choosing a path that curves gently toward a valley. Early humans followed trails like these when searching for safer routes through winter storms. The mammoths didn't hurry, and neither do we. This journey is slow, steady, and easy, meant to carry your thoughts like snowflakes drifting through quiet air. At the edge of the valley, the mammoths pause again, lifting their trunks to test the wind. The cold carries scents and signals, guiding them toward food or away from danger. Early humans respected these moments, understanding that mammoths had a way of sensing the land that humans couldn't easily replicate. This awareness becomes another soft guide for you now, inviting you to trust the gentle direction of the story. The herd continues downward into the valley, leaving behind a series of deep footprints. Their trail becomes a path that others can follow, steady, clear, and safe. As the light fades, the world feels quieter, the cold gentler, and the ancient landscape settles into evening calm. This is where we end part one of this segment, not with a conclusion, but with a slow settling, like snow resting softly on the earth, inviting your thoughts to rest alongside it. As the mammoths move deeper into the valley, the snow around them grows softer and more untouched, creating a smooth canvas of pale white. Early humans who quietly tracked the herd would often pause here, not to approach, but to observe. The valley acted like a natural bowl, collecting sounds and holding warmth a bit longer than the open plains. Imagine standing at its edge, breathing in cold air that feels surprisingly gentle, watching the herd's large shapes drift slowly across the landscape like peaceful shadows. The ground here is firmer under the snow. Mammoths often chose valleys like this to rest because the earth offered more stability for their immense weight. Early humans learned these patterns, choosing similar places for their own camps. A resting mammoth meant the land was safe, no hidden cracks in the ice, no sudden drops concealed by snow. Picture the peace in that revelation. The land itself felt trustworthy, encouraging both humans and listeners like you to release tension and settle deeper into rest. As the herd slows, a few mammoths begin brushing their trunks across one another's fur, clearing snow and offering warmth. This simple behavior showed early humans the importance of closeness in surviving the cold. Mammoths were social creatures. They relied on the strength of the group. Their quiet interactions, soft touches, gentle nudges, mirrored the calm cooperation humans practiced in their own shelters. Imagine watching them from a distance, feeling that sense of quiet unity settle into your own thoughts. A young mammoth wanders slightly farther than the rest, exploring a patch of frost-covered shrubs. The adults stay alert, their eyes soft but attentive. Their focus is intense. It's natural, steady vigilance shaped by years of surviving winters. Early humans learned from this too. They understood that awareness didn't mean fear, it meant readiness. And as you picture the adults watching over the young one, your mind may adopt this same gentle awareness, a calm, grounded attention that fades gradually into relaxation. The wind shifts slightly, carrying a deeper cold down the valley. The mammoths lift their heads in near perfect unison, tasting the air, sensing whatever change may come. Early humans often watched these reactions as early warnings of weather. Mammoths could sense storms long before the sky changed. Their instinct was a gift to those who paid attention. Tonight, that instinct becomes another soft reassurance for you, an understanding that calm awareness can guide you gently through any change. In the distance, a faint rumble echoes across the valley. It isn't loud, more like a low, rolling vibration moving through the earth. This is how mammoths communicated over long distances. Their calls traveled not just through the air, but through the ground itself. Early humans sometimes felt these tremors beneath their feet, subtle reminders that the herd was connected even when spread across large stretches of land. Imagine standing still and feeling that faint vibration now, a soothing hum beneath the snow. The sky begins shifting into deeper blue as the light fades. Shadows stretch into long, gentle shapes across the valley floor. This time of day often brought a sense of reflection for early humans. Watching mammoths settle for the evening reminded them that the land had a rhythm. Movement, rest, movement again. Nothing rushed. Nothing chaotic. Just the slow, dependable pulse of nature guiding every step. Let that pulse guide you too, slow and steady. The herd gradually forms a loose circle, positioning the youngest in the center. This protective arrangement was common when night approached. It created warmth, shelter, and safety. Early humans learned to create similar arrangements in their own camps, placing the most vulnerable in the warmest, most secure spots, ensuring the group moved as one. As you imagine this circular formation, you might feel the comfort of stable, layered safety gently wrapping around you. A few mammoths begin scraping at the snow with their massive feet, revealing patches of frozen grass beneath. Their movements are repetitive and slow, almost rhythmic. Early humans watched these motions closely, often gathering bits of plant life from the areas mammoths uncovered. In this way, the herd unintentionally guided human survival. Picture the sound of this scraping, steady, soft, predictable. It's the kind of rhythm that can help a listener drift deeper into calm. The moon begins to rise, washing the valley in a pale, silvery glow. Under this light, the mammoth's fur takes on a soft, shimmering quality. The silence deepens. The herd rests, some lying down carefully, others standing with slow, relaxed breaths. Early humans understood that this was a safe time to settle as well. The land felt peaceful, sheltered by the valley walls and the presence of these gentle giants. A gentle reminder surfaces here, woven naturally into the scene. You are safe to relax, safe to drift, safe to let your thoughts soften like snow melting under warm breath. This story moves slowly for a reason, to guide you into the same calm that once surrounded those who lived among mammoths. As the night grows deeper, frost begins forming delicate patterns on the mammoth's fur. They remain unbothered, their thick coats designed for cold far harsher than this. Early humans admired this resilience, learning to craft their own winter clothing by observing how these creatures endured the ice. Tonight, imagining their warmth can help you feel the comfort of your own covers settling around your body. A light wind drifts through the valley, carrying faint scents of frozen grass and distant trees. The mammoths sway gently, barely moving, but always aware of one another. Their slow breaths create clouds that drift upward and fade into the night. This quiet unity, this effortless connection, helps shape how humans understood community in the Ice Age. Togetherness brought warmth. Togetherness brought safety. Togetherness slowed the world into peace. As the herd rests, the valley becomes a cradle of quiet. No loud movements. No urgency. Just a deep, shared stillness between the land, the mammoths, and the humans who watch them. This stillness doesn't need an ending. It simply exists, soft and steady, like a blanket of snow settling gently into place. And as the night deepens around the herd, you are welcome to drift deeper into your own calm, carried by the gentle presence of these ancient, peaceful giants. Tonight, we step into a quieter part of the Ice Age world, one where soft paw prints appear alongside human footprints, sometimes near, sometimes far, sometimes circling gently before fading into the white. In this frozen landscape, wolves moved with a grace shaped by cold winds and instinct, and early humans learned to read their presence not only as danger, but as possibility. As we begin this segment, imagine the snow around you glowing faintly under pale daylight, the world hushed, inviting your breath to slow. Take a moment to notice where you are listening from and what time it is in your night. In the Ice Age, time was marked not by hours but by small signals in the land, shadows stretching, wind shifting, wolves calling faintly in the distance. Just like that ancient rhythm, you are welcome to settle into a slower pace now, as the quiet world of humans and wolves unfolds before you. Imagine a lone wolf crossing the snowy ridge above a small human camp. Its steps are light but purposeful, leaving clean prints behind. Early humans often noticed wolves before wolves noticed them, through distant paw tracks, faint trails along the snow, or soft howls carried by wind. Instead of panic, these signs brought awareness. Wolves knew the land intimately. Where they walked safely, others often could too. Picture yourself watching that wolf from a safe distance, its silhouette blending with drifting snowflakes. The wolves of this era weren't yet companions, but they weren't constant enemies either. They followed herds, just as humans did. They observed the world, just as humans did. And in those shared rhythms, early humans began to understand the patterns of wolf behavior, not through dominance, but through quiet observation. As you imagine this, the steady pacing of a wolf trotting across ice may naturally slow your thoughts into a gentle, reflective calm. Tracks in the snow told many stories. A wolf's trail was narrow, precise, and often direct, revealing where prey had passed hours earlier. Early humans learned to read these trails, not to hunt wolves, but to understand the movement of larger animals. Wolves rarely wasted energy. Their paths pointed toward food and safety. Tonight, imagine tracing those narrow prints with your eyes, each one a clue written softly into the frost. Sometimes, humans and wolves traveled parallel without ever meeting. Two groups following the same herd from different distances. Their paths curved through valleys, crossed frozen rivers, and wound across ridges. In these moments, neither threatened the other. They simply shared the land, each learning from the other's presence. This quiet coexistence, shaped by survival rather than conflict, carried a calm logic that may settle into your thoughts as naturally as snow settling onto branches. Here's a gentle reminder: you are safe to drift. The story is meant to rock your thoughts lightly, like wind brushing across frozen fields. If your mind wanders or grows softer at the edges, that's part of the rhythm. just like the slow, steady movement of wolves in the cold. Imagine a group of early humans crouching to examine fresh wolf tracks. They notice how the prints cluster around certain trees, or how the wolves circle an area before choosing a direction. These small patterns revealed the animal's caution, intelligence, and connection to the land. Humans learned that wolves approached unfamiliar spaces slowly, testing scent, wind, and sound. This taught people about patience, about moving calmly through a world filled with hidden risks. Wolves sometimes lingered near human camps, not out of hostility, but drawn by leftover scents or the warmth of fires. Humans watched them carefully, recognizing the same hunger, the same alertness, the same need to survive. The wolves kept their distance, aware of humans' presence, yet neither side rushed toward conflict. Imagine standing near the dim glow of a campfire, seeing a pair of distant eyes reflecting faint light, curious, cautious, respecting the boundary. On quiet nights, wolves would howl across the frozen plains, their voices echoing in long, rising notes that traveled far through the still air. These calls weren't threats. They were communication between distant members of the pack. Early humans grew used to these sounds, even comforted by them in a strange way. The howls reminded them that life continued in the cold, that others moved across the land, and that the world held more than silence. Sometimes, wolves followed human groups at a distance, not as hunters, but as observers waiting for opportunities. When humans processed meat from large animals, wolves approached after they left, cleaning what remained. Humans were aware of this pattern. It created a subtle connection between the two species, one following the other, neither harming the other, each adapting slowly across generations. In rare moments, young wolves grew curious. They lingered longer near camps, watching children or listening to soft human voices. Early humans noticed which wolves behaved gently, which seemed less afraid. Over long stretches of time, this mutual curiosity formed the first threads of trust. Tonight, imagine one such young wolf sitting near the edge of firelight, tail tucked around its paws, snowflakes catching on its fur as it watches quietly. The cold world shaped both humans and wolves in similar ways. Both relied on cooperation. Both needed warmth. Both learned the land through experience. These shared struggles created a natural bridge between them, even before companionship truly began. As you imagine this ancient connection, you may feel its calm, slow warmth settle into your own breathing. When storms approached, wolves sensed the change long before the sky darkened. Their behavior shifted. They moved faster, grouped more tightly, and sought shelter. Early humans learned to read these signals. If wolves retreated early, humans followed. The wolves' instincts became silent warnings that protected both species. Picture a small pack rising suddenly, heading toward rocky shelter, their steps purposeful and united. As we near the end of this part, imagine wolves and humans moving through the same snowy valley, each at their own pace, each following the same quiet pulse of the land. There's no dramatic moment, no confrontation, just shared survival under a pale sky. The snow absorbs sound, turning every movement into softness. And as the valley opens before them, the story settles gently, inviting your thoughts to soften with it, drifting into the calm of this ancient world. As the humans continue their quiet journey through the snowy valley, the presence of wolves becomes a familiar thread woven into the landscape. Sometimes the wolves appear only as faint paw prints in the frost, circling a ridge or disappearing into a distant tree line. Other times, a soft howl ripples through the air, a tone that feels less like a warning and more like a reminder that life moves gently across the ice. Imagine walking beside these ancient humans, hearing that howl fade into the sky while your thoughts drift with it. The group pauses near a small frozen river where delicate patterns in the snow reveal the paths of wolves that passed earlier in the morning. Their footprints cross the human trail briefly before heading toward higher ground. Early humans learned that wolves preferred elevated views, where wind carried scent and danger could be sensed earlier. This simple piece of knowledge helped humans choose safer routes. As you imagine this discovery, your own mind may find a sense of quiet reassurance, like being gently guided through a calm, open field. A set of fresh tracks appears farther ahead, leading toward a thicket of frost-laden bushes. The snow around the prints is crisp, edges sharp, suggesting the wolves passed only minutes before. Early humans move carefully, their steps slow and soft. They know wolves avoid unnecessary conflict. The prints show no sign of agitation, no deep digging, no scattered snow, which means the animals pass peacefully. This subtle reading of the land created a bridge of understanding that shaped thousands of years of coexistence. As the humans approach the thicket, they notice a faint trail of brushed snow, evidence that wolves pause to sniff the air or examine a scent. These small details taught humans how to slow down and read their surroundings with patience. Each hesitation in the tracks reflected caution, awareness, and intuition. Imagine standing near those marks in the snow now, letting that same sense of calm awareness seep into your breathing, settling your thoughts into an even softer rhythm. Deeper into the valley, humans spot a pack resting on a distant slope. The wolves lie curled against one another, conserving warmth. Their fur rises and falls with slow, steady breaths, forming small clouds in the cold air. The humans stop, not out of fear, but out of quiet respect. This moment of mutual distance feels balanced, as if both species understand they share the same world, the same challenges, the same cold winds. The stillness around this resting pack becomes a gentle reminder that rest, too, is a form of survival. As night nears, the wolves rise one by one, stretching their legs, shaking snow from their coats. They form a loose formation and begin trotting along a ridge with practiced harmony. Early humans watched this nightly ritual closely. Wolves often chose reliable paths to travel under moonlight, avoiding unstable ice and deep drifts. By observing the direction of their movement, humans sometimes found safer nighttime routes. Imagine watching this smooth, coordinated motion in the fading light, calm, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. A gentle reminder settles here. It's okay to drift deeper into the rhythm of the story. The wolves move with ease, and your thoughts can follow that same easy flow, soft and unhurried. Nothing pulls at your attention. Nothing demands effort. The quiet world of snow and paw prints guides you into rest. Further along the ridge, the wolves pause again, sensing something in the wind. Their noses lift, ears forward, bodies still. Early humans admired this silent attentiveness. Wolves noticed what humans sometimes missed: shifts in breeze, distant movement, subtle scents carried across the plains. By observing wolves, people learned to heighten their senses, to listen more deeply to a world that rarely spoke loudly. As darkness grows, the humans move slowly downhill while the wolves continue along the ridge above. For a moment, their paths run perfectly parallel, two lines across the snow, each guided by instinct and experience. This brief alignment captures the earliest hint of connection, not partnership yet, but mutual recognition. Both species choose these paths for safety. Both read the same land. Both survive through attention and calm. The group reaches a sheltered hollow between two icy slopes. The snow here is untouched, smooth as silk beneath the moon. Humans settle quietly, and somewhere above, a low, distant howl echoes across the ridge, a gentle signal that the wolves have moved on. The sound is neither threatening nor urgent. It fades softly, like a breath released into cold air. Imagine hearing it as you rest, allowing it to carry your thoughts deeper into comfort. Near the hollow's edge, a few older paw prints are frozen into the snow, softened by time. They tell a story of wolves that passed long before. Early humans often looked to old tracks as signs of safe passages used repeatedly by animals. These marks gave reassurance that generations of creatures had trusted this path. Tonight, these faded prints offer you the same reassurance: soft, quiet, comforting. As the humans settle into a quiet watch, the valley becomes a cradle of muffled sound. Snow absorbs movement until the world feels padded and serene. Humans and wolves both found comfort in this muted calm, relying on it to rest through long, frozen nights. Picture this protective silence expanding around you, tucking your awareness into gentle stillness. A final breath of cold wind drifts through the hollow, carrying faint scents from far-off forests. The humans rest, trusting the stability of the land and the subtle guidance they've learned from wolves. Far away, another howl rises, This one softer, lower, and drifting into the sky like a farewell. It doesn't call for a response. It simply marks the passing of time. And as the valley sinks into deeper quiet, the story ends without closure, without resolution. Just a soft settling of snow, a shared world of humans and wolves moving gently through the cold, and the invitation for your thoughts to drift peacefully wherever they wish to go. Reindeer once moved across the Ice Age world like threads woven into a vast, shifting tapestry of snow. Their migrations followed patterns older than memory, guiding them from sheltered valleys to windy plains and back again. Early humans watched these movements closely, learning that reindeer were reliable markers of the seasons, returning when food was scarce, disappearing when the land changed. Imagine standing on a quiet ridge, seeing a long, moving line of reindeer in the distance, their silhouettes soft against pale winter light. Their steady pace invites your breathing to slow. Each migration carried a sense of rhythm. Reindeer traveled in large groups, hooves crunching in synchronized patterns across snow and ice. This sound, gentle and repetitive, became familiar to those who depended on the herds for understanding the landscape. Humans could tell how soon winter deepened or when spring hinted at returning simply by the spacing of the herd, their direction, or their speed. Picture yourself listening to that distant, steady crunch, soft, rhythmic, calming. At certain times of year, the land came alive with reindeer trails etched across its frozen surface. The trails wound around ridges, crossed frozen rivers, and dipped through sheltered valleys. Early humans followed these winding paths not out of urgency, but out of respect for the creatures that understood the land more deeply. Reindeer knew where snow lay shallow, where ice was safe to cross, and where predators rarely roamed. Walking along one of these trails, you can almost feel the quiet reassurance the herds once offered. Sometimes, watching reindeer from afar felt like witnessing the turning of a massive, gentle wheel, the cycle of movement that shaped the year. When herds moved south, humans prepared for colder winds. When they moved north, they knew the land was easing toward warmth. These shifts were subtle, yet powerful. As you imagine this slow transformation, your thoughts may naturally begin to soften, sinking into the same steady cycle of motion and rest. During migration, reindeer paused to graze on frozen grasses hidden beneath thin layers of snow. They scraped the ground with practiced movements, revealing patches of life beneath winter's surface. Early humans learned to anticipate these moments, using them to find food sources or gauge the health of the land. Imagine watching a small group of reindeer scraping quietly at the earth, their breaths rising in pale clouds, simple, calm gestures shaped by instinct. Reindeer traveled in tight formations, each member relying on the others to navigate storms or shifting winds. This unity offered humans a quiet lesson. Survival was easier when done together. Families and small groups often aligned their movements with the herds, adjusting their pace to match the slow, deliberate progress of the animals. In imagining this, you may feel a gentle sense of companionship, knowing that even in a vast frozen world, movement was shared. In some winters, migration stretched farther than usual, driven by deep snows or scarce plants. Humans recognized these longer journeys as signs of a harsher season ahead. Yet even in these times, the consistent direction of the herds brought comfort. A moving reindeer line suggested stability, purpose, and the promise of new pasture somewhere ahead. Picture that long, curving line now, soft shapes drifting steadily through a quiet world. As daylight faded during migration days, the reindeer continued their journey with almost no change in pace. The dim light blended their forms into a single flowing silhouette, like a river of fur and antlers moving through dusk. Early humans often used these moments to rest, knowing the herd's direction wouldn't shift unexpectedly. Imagine the peacefulness of watching them fade into evening light, the world around you growing quieter with every step. Reindeer trails often crossed older paths carved into the landscape by centuries of movement. These ancient patterns created natural roads that humans followed year after year. The consistency of these trails, returning each season, brought a sense of reliability that was deeply comforting. As you imagine stepping onto one of these ancient routes, feel the quiet strength in its familiarity. Occasionally, Small clusters of reindeer branched off from the main herd, exploring nearby ridges or valleys. Early humans understood that these small groups often indicated safer travel routes, places where snow was firm or predators were scarce. Watching these offshoots taught humans how to adapt, adjusting their own path with patient awareness. Imagine observing one of these small groups, their gentle movements guiding your thoughts toward deeper calm. Young reindeer walked near the center of the herd, protected by adults who formed a natural barrier around them. This protective behavior mirrored human instincts, creating a subtle sense of kinship between species. Early humans saw their own families reflected in the formation of the reindeer herd, strength around softness, guidance around youth. As you picture this, you may feel a quiet warmth settle into your breath. Wind often carried scents of the herd long before they arrived. Humans learned to recognize the faint earthy smell of reindeer fur and the crisp trace of snow disturbed by their movement. These scents created anticipation, a soft awareness that change was approaching. Imagine that hint of scent drifting on cold air, a near-silent signal that life was moving toward you across the frozen plain. The migration routes changed slightly with each generation, shaped by storms, terrain, and instinct. Early humans learned to trust the animal's judgment, knowing reindeer rarely chose dangerous paths. This trust formed a natural bond between people and herd, even without direct interaction. As you imagine following one of these slowly shifting routes, your thoughts may follow gently, finding their own slow, safe path forward. During calm afternoons, reindeer sometimes paused at frozen lakes, their breaths rising as they waited for the herd to gather again. Humans often watched from nearby hills, recognizing that these pauses marked natural transitions in the journey. Just like these animals rested when they needed to, this moment invites you to rest too, unhurried, peaceful, and steady. As the day moves toward evening, the herd forms a long, curved line once more and continues its migration. Their silhouettes blend with the dimming sky, the rhythm of their steps fading into the gentle quiet of the landscape. With no dramatic arrival or conclusion, the scene settles softly, inviting your mind to sink deeper into stillness as the reindeer trail stretches calmly into the distance. As evening settled across the plains, reindeer hooves continued tapping a quiet rhythm into the snow, soft, steady, undisturbed by darkness. Early humans walking nearby matched their pace with the herd, letting the animal's calm movements become a natural guide. The sound of snow compressing beneath hooves and boots blended into a single gentle pattern, creating a sense of unity across the frozen land. Imagine this shared rhythm surrounding you, a soft pulse carrying your thoughts deeper into stillness. When the herd reached wider valleys, their formation spread slightly, creating gentle arcs of movement that glided across the landscape. Early humans understood these shifts. A widening formation meant the land was open, safe, and filled with edible plants tucked beneath thin snow. Narrower lines signaled harder ground, thicker drifts, or steeper terrain ahead. By watching these subtle changes, people learned to feel the landscape's mood without speaking a word. Imagine observing these graceful adjustments, quiet signals in a world where silence held meaning. Sometimes, the herd stopped altogether, forming still, gentle clusters of bodies resting close for warmth. These pauses often happened near frozen streams or sheltered ridges carved by ancient winds. Early humans recognized these pauses as reliable resting points. If reindeer trusted the safety of an area, it was likely safe for humans too. Picture the scene: cold air settling, breaths rising, the herd forming a soft circle of warmth against the vast white plain. This sense of shared shelter may naturally ease your own breathing. The reindeer's antlers, branching like living sculptures of ice and bone, often caught moonlight as night approached. Their slow, deliberate movements cast long, quiet shadows across the snow. For early humans, these moments were more than beautiful. They were practical signals. Antler direction, posture, and spacing helped humans predict the herd's next turn or sense distant disturbances invisible to the eye. As you imagine the shimmering antlers swaying gently under fading light, your mind may sway into a deeper calm as well. Farther along the path, older tracks crisscrossed with newer ones, creating patterns that stretched like gentle waves across the plain. Early humans traced these layered histories in the snow, recognizing where herds had passed days earlier and where fresh movement pointed toward new routes. These overlapping trails felt like a map written by nature, one that shifted every season yet remained familiar. Imagine tracing the edge of such a pattern with your eyes, letting its fluid lines guide your thoughts softly forward. As the night grew colder, reindeer pressed closer together, forming protective clusters around young calves. The adults positioned themselves outward, creating a ring of warmth and security. Early humans saw in this formation a reflection of their own families and shelters. The instinct to protect the vulnerable was shared among species, forming a quiet bond that required no words. Imagine watching this natural circle of care from a nearby slope, feeling its comfort settle into your chest like a warm breath. Occasionally, a reindeer at the edge of the herd would lift its head suddenly, ears rotating toward distant sounds carried on the wind. The herd would pause, still and alert, reading the world with senses honed by thousands of migrations. Early humans watched these moments closely, trusting the reindeer's instinct to detect changes in weather or approaching movement. When the herd relaxed, humans relaxed with them. Picture that shared pause, complete stillness beneath a silver sky, inviting your thoughts to settle into deep quiet. Moonlight brightened as clouds drifted away, revealing a soft glow across the snowy valley. Under this gentle illumination, the herd resumed its pace with renewed ease. Their steps, though quiet, created a faint shimmering trail in the snow, like threads of light woven across the land. Early humans followed this shimmering path not out of urgency, but out of trust in its stability. Imagine stepping onto that glowing trail yourself, feeling its calm direction beneath your feet. As the herd climbed a gentle slope, snow whispered beneath their hooves, sending soft waves of sound across the landscape. Early humans knew the sound well. It told them that the snow was firm, reliable, and safe to cross. In deep winter, even small cues like this helped families choose their routes. Imagine listening to that faint whisper now, letting it smooth the edges of your thoughts like wind smoothing fresh snow. Near the crest of the slope, the reindeer paused once more, their silhouettes outlined against the dim sky. From this height, they surveyed the land ahead, a vast stretch of plains where the migration would continue by morning light. Early humans paused as well, sharing this quiet vantage point. Together, human and herd breathed gently beneath the sky, part of the same slow-moving rhythm of life. Picture this moment as the landscape settles into night. Frost began forming delicate crystals on the reindeer's fur, catching faint moonlight as if tiny stars rested on their backs. These crystals glittered softly whenever the animal shifted. Early humans noticed such signs too. Frost accumulation sometimes indicated subtle changes in humidity or approaching weather. Though simple, these details gave structure to their decisions and comfort in their routine. Imagine watching frost sparkle against the night, each glimmer a soft cue to relax a bit more. The herd slowly descended the slope toward a sheltered hollow, a familiar resting place used in many winters before. Their bodies formed a moving wave of shadows blending seamlessly with the darkened landscape. Early humans followed at a distance, not wanting to disturb the herd. The familiar path, worn by countless migrations, brought a feeling of stability that carried both humans and animals safely through harsh seasons. Imagine stepping into that same sheltered hollow, surrounded by snow that muffles every sound. As the herd settled into the hollow, breaths rose in gentle plumes, merging with the cold night air. No loud movements disturbed the quiet. The reindeer folded into the landscape, their forms peaceful and grounded. Early humans observed this settling, understanding it was time to rest as well. The stillness of the hollow offered comfort, like being held in the soft curve of the earth itself. Picture that curve holding your thoughts gently. Far above, faint stars shimmered through gaps in the clouds. The valley became a sanctuary of shadows and soft light. The reindeer's quiet presence felt like a calm anchor in the winter world, grounding humans and guiding them through long nights. Imagine this soft anchor settling into your own awareness, steadying your breath and easing your mind into quiet. And as night deepened fully, the migration paused, not ended, just resting for the next day's path. The herd curled under the hollow's gentle shelter, humans nearby absorbing the peace of the moment. No conclusion is needed here. Only a soft settling, like snow lowering itself into silence, inviting your thoughts to drift as the reindeer sleep beneath the winter sky. In the vast quiet of the Ice Age, shelter was more than protection. It was a gentle pause in a world shaped by wind, frost, and long stretches of silence. Early humans learned to read the land for places where the cold softened, where the wind shifted, and where snow piled in ways that could be shaped into warmth. Imagine arriving at such a place, a small rise in the earth, sheltered by stone and drifted snow, where the air feels still enough to breathe deeply. This is where shelters began, where the land offered hints, and people listened with calm patience. Some shelters formed naturally. Caves, overhangs, and deep hollows carved by the slow forces of wind and ice became familiar sanctuaries. Early humans approached these spaces with quiet awareness, testing the air, listening for echoes that revealed whether the space was safe, dry, or home to other creatures. Imagine stepping into one of these cool, dim openings now, the light fading gently behind you, the ground firm beneath your feet, and the silence wrapping itself around you like a soft blanket. But not every shelter existed before humans arrived. Many were crafted from the land itself, snow compacted into sturdy shapes or drifted into natural curves that could be shaped by hand. Snow, though cold, acted as an insulator when packed into thick walls, keeping the harshest winds outside while holding warmth inside. Early humans learned this through observation, noticing how winter dens of animals remained surprisingly warm. Imagine pressing your hand into dense snow, feeling its firmness and the muted silence it creates. Mammoth bones played an important role in these structures. Their large, curved shapes provided strong frames that supported hides, branches, and layers of insulating snow. Early humans used these bones with respect, understanding they were gifts from creatures that had once walked the same plains. Picture the frame of such a shelter rising slowly from the snow, arches of pale bone creating a gentle dome, covered in thick, layered hides that told stories of warmth earned through effort and care. Inside these shelters, the light dimmed into a soft, amber glow. Fire crackled gently, its warmth spreading through the space in waves that softened muscles and steadied breathing. Early humans sat close, their fur-lined clothing rustling softly as they moved. The fire sound filled the shelter like a quiet heartbeat, steady, warm, reassuring. Imagine sitting near that fire now, letting its imagined warmth ease the tension from your shoulders. The walls of snow or hide muted outside sounds, creating a cocoon of calm. Wind that howled fiercely across the plains faded into a distant hum. Footsteps were softened. Voices became gentle, almost whisper-like. This muffled quiet acted as a natural lullaby for families settling in after long days of travel or gathering. Imagine hearing that softened world, where every sound feels safe and close. Inside, early humans arranged their belongings with care. Stones warmed near fires, tools tucked neatly by the walls, skin spread across the floor to create layers of comfort. These layers made the shelter feel grounded, connected to the earth below and strengthened by the knowledge that the one who created all things also provided the means for warmth. Picture those layers beneath your feet, simple yet comforting. Even the scent inside the shelters carried warmth: earthy fur, dried grasses, the faint mineral smell of packed snow, and the subtle sweetness of burning wood. These scents mixed into a calming blend that signaled safety. Imagine breathing it in, cool air softened by the fragrance of warmth and shelter. Families often gathered for quiet tasks during the evening, mending clothing, softening hides, carving small tools. These activities were rhythmic and unhurried, their sounds blending into the background. Imagine the gentle scrape of a stone tool or the soft rustling of hides, a peaceful chorus of everyday survival. The entrance to the shelter was often narrow, designed to keep warmth in and wind out. A small flap of hide or a carefully placed snow wall softened the boundary between inside and outside. When someone stepped through, cold air drifted in for just a moment before warmth reclaimed the space. Imagine that transition, a brief chill followed by a return to quiet comfort. Occasionally, snow settled onto the roof, thickening the insulation. Instead of worrying, early humans welcomed it. Snow made the shelter stronger, quieter, and warmer. Each new layer muffled more sound, deepening the calm inside. Imagine lying beneath that gently weighted ceiling, feeling how the world above becomes softer and more distant. Firelight flickered on the walls, creating slow-moving shadows. These shadows danced quietly, never rushing, never startling. Early humans watched them the way people today watch flames or waves, letting their minds drift slowly with the quiet movement. Picture those shadows swaying around you like calm, rhythmic breathing. As night deepened, conversations faded. The shelter sank into near-complete stillness. Only the soft crackle of the fire remained. Early humans curled under layers of fur, listening to the muted world around them. The shelter, crafted from snow, bone, and hide, felt like a small pocket of warmth carved out of the endless cold. Imagine that sense of being held, safe, warm, and surrounded by quiet. The world outside continued its frozen rhythm, but inside, time seemed to slow into near stillness. The shelter became a gentle pause in the vastness of winter. And as the fire dimmed, the calm grew deeper, inviting anyone within its walls to drift into rest without urgency. As dawn approached, the faintest traces of cold light seeped through cracks in the shelter walls, casting a soft glow across fur-lined surfaces. Early humans often woke slowly in this dim light, listening to the small sounds of the morning, the crackle of cooling embers, the gentle shifting of bodies, the distant sigh of wind beyond the walls. Inside, warmth lingered like a quiet memory, held in the layers of hide and snow that surrounded them. Imagine waking in that same soft glow, wrapped in stillness and a sense of unhurried peace. Before leaving the shelter, humans checked the walls and snow-packed edges with careful hands. They knew the structure changed overnight as temperatures shifted. A gentle press could reveal whether more snow was needed or if a small crack had formed. These small acts were not chores, but routines that connected them to the shelter, reminding them of the protection it offered. Picture running your hand along such a wall, cool, firm, and steady beneath your touch. Outside, the world greeted them with a pale horizon and quiet air. Fresh snow often drifted during the night, smoothing the ground into a flawless sheet. Early humans stepped into this untouched landscape with calm awareness, noting how their shelter stood solid behind them, a quiet guardian shaped from the land itself. Imagine that first step into the morning cold, the air crisp but not harsh, and your breath rising like gentle mist. As they moved about, the shelter remained a centerpiece of their small camp, its shape blending naturally into the landscape. Snow-covered walls became nearly indistinguishable from the drifts around them, making the structure feel almost like an extension of the earth. This camouflage protected families not only from wind, but from unwanted attention. Walking a short distance away, one might barely recognize the shelter's outline, just a soft mound of white holding warmth within. Sometimes, shelters were expanded or adjusted throughout winter. A new snow wall might be added to block shifting winds, or a small pit dug inside to trap warmth closer to the ground. These simple adaptations came from understanding how cold behaved, how it pulled in low spaces, how wind curved around ridges, and how snow insulated better than open air. Imagine quietly reshaping part of the shelter, each movement deliberate, as if sculpting warmth from the cold. Tools stored inside the shelter retained a subtle warmth from the fire, making them easier to handle. Stone blades, wooden handles, and carefully tied bindings all softened slightly in the gentle heat. Early humans often inspected these tools before beginning their day, appreciating their durability and the means provided to craft and maintain them. Picture picking up one of these tools, feeling its warmth against your hand, a small reminder of the shelter's protective embrace. In harsh weather, shelters became places of gathering. Families huddled close, sharing stories, warmth, and tasks. Soft voices filled the space in low, steady tones, never rising too loud, mindful of the enclosed quiet. These shared moments strengthened bonds, reminding each person that they belonged to a group capable of navigating winter together. Imagine sitting among them, listening to the gentle murmur of voices without needing to speak yourself. Occasionally, snowstorms swept across the plains, burying everything under thick layers of white. Inside, The shelter grew even quieter as snow deepened around its walls. The storm outside became a distant, muffled presence, like a soft roar behind many layers. Early humans rested during these storms, trusting the structure they built. Picture being inside such a shelter, hearing only faint hints of the storm, as if wrapped in layers of quiet protection. As storms passed, families emerged to find the landscape transformed. Drifts rose higher, ridges disappeared, and smooth fields stretched farther than before. Yet the shelter, shaped from snow, bone, and hide, stood firm beneath the fresh layers. Humans brushed away just enough snow to reopen the entrance, letting new light spill inside. Imagine that moment, the soft crumble of snow, the gentle brightness returning, and the world outside restored to calm. Throughout the year, shelters shifted shape. Snow melted, hides loosened, and bones settled deeper into the earth. Early humans repaired and reshaped their structures as needed, guided by the same instincts that helped animals create dens. This ongoing process wasn't burdensome. It was a rhythm woven into daily life. Imagine participating in this gentle maintenance, each small change adding to the shelter's quiet strength. Inside the shelter, warmth collected near the ground, encouraging restful sleep on cold nights. Early humans often lay close together for added heat, fur blankets layered over them. Their breathing synchronized, rising and falling in soft waves that filled the space with comfort. Imagine lying there as well, feeling the weight of blankets and the warmth of shared presence settling around you. As evening returned after a long day, the shelter once again became a haven. Firelight flickered gently against its walls, turning packed snow into a soft golden hue. Early humans prepared for night with calm familiarity, knowing this place had carried them through countless cold winds. Picture sitting beside the fire, feeling its warmth reach your face, the walls reflecting its glow like quiet companions. Over time, the shelter became more than structure. It was a memory, a teacher, a quiet partner in survival. Its snow walls held stories of storms and rest, of warmth carefully tended, of nights spent listening to wind from a distance. Imagine these stories lingering in the air around you, soft and comforting like a whispered lullaby from the land itself. And as night deepened once again, the shelter settled into silence. Its curved walls held warmth steady, its shadows danced gently with fading firelight, and the quiet inside grew heavier, inviting every thought to slow. The world outside remained cold and vast, but within these walls, everything softened into calm. This is where the day ended, not with a signal or a sharp close, but with a gradual sinking into rest, like snow drifting gently into place. Night in the Ice Age arrived quietly, as if the world exhaled and let a long shadow spread across its frozen surface. When darkness settled, everything slowed. Snow seemed to soften, wind lowered its voice, and distant shapes faded gently into deep blue. Early humans treated night not as a threat but as a time to listen, to sense the world in new ways. Imagine standing just outside a small shelter as evening deepens, the cold air crisp against your skin, the silence stretching into a calm and endless horizon. As darkness thickened, vision became secondary. People relied instead on sound, the faint creak of shifting ice, the soft crunch of an animal stepping across snow, the subtle sigh of wind brushing past frozen grass. These sounds guided them through the night, offering clues about movement, weather, and safety. Imagine focusing on those soft sounds now, each one gentle, each one helping your thoughts descend into a slower, quieter rhythm. Early humans often assigned a night watcher, someone who remained awake while others slept. The watcher's role wasn't to confront danger, but simply to observe, to sit near the dim glow of embers, wrapped in fur, eyes half-lidded yet attentive. The calmness of the night often made wakefulness feel like drifting rather than staying alert. Picture this figure sitting quietly near a low fire, the light flickering softly across snow. The night watch was rarely lonely. The world itself seemed to accompany the watcher. Occasionally, the distant call of an owl echoed through the cold air, or a fox trotted silently across a ridge, leaving delicate prints behind. These nighttime visitors reminded humans they weren't alone. Life continued even in darkness, moving gently around them. Imagine feeling that same presence, a soft awareness of distant life without any pressure to respond. Sometimes the stars emerged, filling the sky with specks of pale light that reflected off the snow and created a faint glow across the landscape. Under this quiet starlight, shapes became silhouettes, and shadows stretched long and muted. Early humans watched these patterns shift slowly, using them to sense the passing of hours. Imagine looking up into this cold, shimmering sky, your thoughts slowing to match its calm steadiness. The fire was kept small at night, producing warmth without drawing attention. Its glow painted gentle arcs of orange on the snow, creating a circle of comfort where the watcher sat at day. The crackling embers whispered in a rhythm that soothed the mind, almost like a heartbeat beneath layers of fur and hide. Imagine leaning closer to that fire, feeling the quiet warmth settle deeply into your chest. Breath became visible in the cold, drifting upward in slow clouds. The watcher often observed these small plumes, letting the repetition lull them through long stretches of quiet. Each breath was a reminder of warmth, safety, and the shelter behind them where others slept. Imagine watching your own breath rise like that, each soft cloud helping your mind drift downward. Occasionally, a faint rustle in the distance drew attention. Perhaps a reindeer shifting in its sleep or a wolf padding silently along a ridge. The watcher learned to distinguish harmless sounds from signs of change. Most nighttime noises carried no threat, just echoes of life moving gently through the cold. Imagine hearing such a rustle now, not alarming, simply part of the landscape's soft conversation. Nighttime wasn't purely darkness, it carried subtle layers. Shadows over snow looked almost blue, distant hills appeared like quiet shapes, and trees formed soft silhouettes against the sky. Early humans grew comfortable with these visual cues, understanding that even in dim light, the land still spoke. Imagine standing in that layered darkness, your eyes adjusting, your thoughts finding comfort in gentle outlines rather than clear shapes. Inside the shelter, sleepers shifted occasionally, their quiet breaths forming a soft chorus. The watcher could hear these small movements, grounding them in the group's presence. Even in solitude, they weren't alone. The warmth and rhythm of sleeping companions offered reassurance. Imagine hearing those distant breaths now, steady, slow, reminding you that rest was a shared experience. Sometimes, the watcher would step a few paces away from the fire, letting their eyes adjust fully to the dark. The cold deepened but sharpened their senses, making every sound clearer. In this stillness, the night felt vast yet calm, stretching endlessly yet never overwhelming. Imagine stepping into that same quiet, the cold air sharpening your awareness but softening your thoughts. The land glimmered faintly under moonlight, creating a pale sheen that made the snow look almost fluid. This glow helped the watcher trace the outlines of ridges and valleys even in late hours. The gentle reflection was calming, subdued, steady, reassuring. Imagine seeing that pale glow now, soft enough to soothe, bright enough to guide. From time to time, the watcher brushed fresh snow from their clothing, the flakes falling silently to the ground. Movements were slow, deliberate, shaped by the stillness of night. There was no need for haste. Night itself encouraged patience, inviting the mind to drift into its gentle rhythm. Imagine brushing snow from your sleeve, feeling its cool softness melt into warmth. When wind shifted direction, the watcher noted its new tone. Sometimes it carried scents from distant forests or sounds from valleys unseen. These changes were part of the language of the night, quiet, subtle, meant for patient ears. Imagine listening to a soft change in the wind, letting it guide your thoughts into even deeper calm. And as the center of the night approached, the world felt suspended. No rush, no tension, just a stillness that held everything gently. The night watch continued not as a duty, but as a peaceful moment shared with the landscape itself. This is where part one settles, like snow drifting lightly into place, inviting the mind toward deeper quiet as the night stretches onward. As the night deepened, the watcher often noticed how sound traveled differently across frozen ground. A distant crack of ice might echo farther than expected, while closer footsteps could seem softened by snow. Early humans learned to interpret these nighttime distortions with quiet confidence. They understood that the world behaved differently after sunset, and they adapted by listening with both patience and calm. Picture yourself hearing those stretched out echoes now, soft, distant, offering no alarm, only a slow pull toward stillness. The moon climbed higher, casting long, delicate shadows across the sleeping camp. These shadows swayed lightly with each breeze, creating slow dances on the snow. The watcher sometimes found comfort in these movements, letting the gentle shifts soothe their thoughts. Light and dark blended seamlessly, forming a calm rhythm that matched the quiet breathing from within the shelter. Imagine watching those shadows sway, their calm rhythm settling naturally into your own mind. Far beyond the camp, the faint outline of a pack of wolves appeared atop a distant ridge. They were too far to pose danger, simply moving as a part of the night itself. Their silhouettes paused, ears turned, sensing the same calm air. The watcher observed them with a familiarity earned from years of coexistence. Wolves in the distance were not warnings. They were part of the night's quiet structure. Imagine seeing those distant shapes, peaceful, unhurried, blending into darkness. Cold air drifted slowly into the valley, carrying with it hints of frozen grass and untouched snow. The watcher breathed it in, feeling the contrast between the sharp cold outside and the deep warmth near the fire. This shift of temperature brought a gentle awareness, grounding them in the moment. Imagine breathing in that same cold air, fresh, steady, helping your thoughts glide further into rest. The fire dimmed to glowing embers, leaving only faint sparks that pulsed like fireflies caught in the cold. These tiny glows illuminated the watcher's hands, the snow at their feet, and the edges of their fur clothing with soft, golden light. Early humans often let the fire settle naturally, trusting its warmth to linger without constant tending. Imagine watching those glowing embers, each pulse a quiet reminder of warmth within the cold. Sometimes, the watcher heard the muffled shift of snow from a shelter as someone inside adjusted in their sleep. The small sound carried a sense of comfort, a reminder of shared presence even in silence. These gentle noises reassured the watcher, grounding them in the warmth of community. Picture hearing those soft movements now, the kind that make your breath settle into an easier rhythm. A light wind rolled through the valley, brushing across the watcher's face and sending a ripple through loose snow. It wasn't harsh. It carried a softness that made the world feel even quieter. Early humans learned to interpret these soft breezes as signs of stability. No storm approaching, no danger lurking. Imagine feeling that breeze yourself, a cool whisper across your skin with nothing urgent behind it. Farther into the night, the sky expanded into deeper blues and blacks, revealing more stars than seemed possible. Their pale shimmer reflected off the snow, turning the landscape into a slow-moving canvas of light. Under the sky, the watcher felt small but not overwhelmed, simply part of a vast, calm world. Imagine standing beneath that star-filled sky, the sense of quiet connection sinking gently into your thoughts. The land occasionally emitted faint creaks as ice adjusted beneath its surface. These sounds were natural, almost rhythmic, like the deep settling breaths of the earth. Early humans learned to hear these as part of the night's language. Nothing sudden, nothing dangerous, just the land shifting into place. Imagine hearing those slow creaks now, not startling but soothing, marking the passage of time without needing attention. A fox trotted silently along the edge of the camp, its form barely visible against the snow. It paused briefly, nose lifted, then slipped back into darkness. Such encounters were common and welcomed as signs of calm wildlife activity. The watcher felt reassured by these small appearances, life moving peacefully through the night. Imagine noticing that fox, its quiet presence reinforcing the stillness around you. As the hours passed, the watcher adjusted their position, sometimes drawing closer to the fire for warmth, sometimes stepping away to let their senses sharpen in the cold. These small shifts mirrored the body's natural desire to stay balanced and at ease. Imagine making such a gentle adjustment yourself, a small movement that invites comfort. The sounds of the night began to blend together into a single gentle hum. Wind, distant animals, shifting snow, breathing from inside the shelter. None stood out. All softened into a layered quiet that brought ease to the mind. Early humans often found themselves drifting toward drowsiness even while awake during the night watch. Imagine that layered quiet surrounding you like a soft blanket. As dawn approached, the deepest darkness lifted slightly, replaced by a faint grey glow along the horizon. The watcher noticed this gradual change and felt the weight of the night begin to ease. The world shifted again, not abruptly, but smoothly, as if encouraging even tired minds to settle. Imagine witnessing that early glow, your thoughts softening with it. The night watch drew to a close not with a single moment, but with a slow merging of darkness and returning light. No dramatic end, no sudden movements, just the gentle rise of morning across the snow. The watcher breathed a final deep breath of cold air, reassured by the stillness they had shared with the land. And as the first light touched the frozen ground, the story settled naturally, inviting your mind to rest wherever it wishes to drift. In the vast Ice Age world, early humans learned to move with quiet intention, following the herds they depended on while carefully avoiding the predators that shared the same frozen landscape. Every journey was shaped by patience, watching the land, listening to distant sounds, noticing subtle signs in snow and wind. Imagine stepping into that world now, where each choice is gentle, deliberate, shaped by a desire to move safely through wide, open wilderness. The rhythm of this movement invites your own thoughts to slow. Herds left clear traces across the snow, broad pathways packed down by dozens of hooves, curving gently across plains and valleys. Early humans trusted these paths because animals instinctively avoided the most dangerous terrain. Where herds traveled, the ice was strong, the snow shallow, and the slopes manageable. Following these trails felt like walking within the natural pulse of the land. Imagine walking one of these paths now, your feet sinking softly into snow. Sometimes the herd moved quickly, driven by distant scents or changing winds. Other times they grazed slowly, leaving a delicate mesh of footprints behind. Early humans observed these patterns closely, learning to read the mood of the herd. Calm animals meant calm surroundings. Restless animals hinted at shifting weather or approaching predators. Imagine watching the distant herd from a ridge, noticing their movements like reading quiet handwriting on snow. Predators rarely appeared suddenly. Their presence lingered in signs, tracks pressed sharply into snow, a broken patch of ice, or distant birds circling low. Early humans learned to sense these hints without fear, adjusting their direction gently rather than reacting in panic. In this world, safety came from awareness, not confrontation. Imagine noticing those faint signs now, not alarming but informative, guiding your steps with quiet assurance. Wolves, saber-toothed cats, and other hunters followed the same herds, but their paths were narrow and focused, different from the wide trails of grazing animals. Early humans recognized the difference. A hunter's trail curved unpredictably, doubling back, cutting through thick snow with urgency. A herd's trail, by contrast, was steady, smooth, and patient. Imagine kneeling beside both sets of tracks, sensing the story behind each one. Traveling families often chose high ridges where the wind cleared snow and allowed better visibility. From these vantage points, they could see the movement of herds far below while also keeping distance from predators hidden in lower ground. The higher air was colder, but the clarity it offered made each step worth the effort. Imagine standing on such a ridge, the world spread out before you in soft blues and whites. Sometimes a distant call, a wolf's howl or the cry of a bird, guided decisions more than sight. Early humans had learned through experience that sounds carried meaning. A certain type of howl meant wolves were trailing prey, while sharp bird calls signaled a disturbance on the plains. These sounds were like quiet messengers of the landscape. Imagine letting those gentle cues guide your awareness without urgency. During calm spells, the herd slowed into a steady rhythm that humans matched easily. The walk became almost meditative, each step part of a shared migration. Children walked beside adults, listening, observing, learning the land's quiet language. The journey was long, but the pace made it feel gentle, like moving within a slow, steady breath of the earth. Imagine joining this soft procession, your thoughts matching its ease. When the herd chose a path through a valley, early humans followed with cautious optimism. Valleys held more shelter from wind and often led to water, but they also created blind spots where hunters could hide. Humans entered these spaces with awareness, not fear, but understanding. They placed their steps lightly, listened carefully, and trusted their experience. Imagine walking through such a valley now, each sound softened by snow. At certain times, herds gathered near frozen lakes or sheltered hollows. These natural gathering points became temporary resting places for humans too. Families used the pause to repair clothing, share warmth, or observe the land ahead. Reindeer or bison grazed nearby, their calm presence steadying the world. Imagine sitting near such a gathering place, the quiet hum of life surrounding you in gentle waves. Travel during dusk required extra care. Shadows lengthened across the ground, turning familiar shapes into muted silhouettes. But early humans were comfortable with this twilight. They watched how the herd moved in dim light, following its silhouettes as reliable guides. The herd's confidence helped shape their own. Imagine walking at dusk, the landscape softening into blue-gray tones that soothe your thoughts. Predators hunted most actively during these low-light hours, but humans avoided conflict by staying close to the herd, whose size and movement discouraged many hunters. Moving with the herd was like moving within a protective barrier, alive, shifting, vast. Imagine the quiet reassurance of being near that living shield, its presence offering calm stability. When night settled, humans found elevated ground or sheltered corners where the herd's presence could still be sensed through faint sounds or distant silhouettes. They listened for the soft crunch of grazing or the low grunts of animals settling. These sounds became a lullaby of safety, guiding families into rest. Imagine hearing these distant sounds, steady and grounding. The land itself offered clues. Cracked ice warned of weak spots, scattered feathers suggested a predator had passed, and smooth snow indicated untouched roots. Early humans tuned their senses to these small messages. As you imagine this, your own awareness may soften, not in tension, but in gentle attunement to the quiet world unfolding around you. And as the herd continued its slow migration under the pale sky, early humans followed with patient steps, trusting the land, the animals, and the lessons learned over countless journeys. This is where part 1 settles, like a soft breath exhaled into frost, inviting your thoughts to ease into stillness as the path stretches quietly ahead. As the night deepened across the plains, early humans listened closely to the herd's shifting sounds, soft grunts, gentle footsteps, and the faint brushing of fur against snow. These subtle noises acted as a natural signal that predators were not nearby, allowing humans to rest or continue walking peacefully. Imagine hearing those muffled sounds now, each one steady, each one easing your mind into a calmer rhythm. When humans moved again at dawn, the fresh layer of frost painted new stories across the ground. Tracks of the herd appeared crisp and clean, while predator footprints, if present, would show sharper edges and more deliberate spacing. Early humans read these new marks as if scanning a freshly written message. Calm trails meant safe passage ahead. Imagine studying these clear footprints, the rising light revealing each detail with gentle clarity. In the brighter hours, the herd often traveled towards slopes where sunlight lingered longest. Early humans followed these warm patches, knowing that predators preferred shaded valleys. The warmth softened the snow slightly, creating a comforting texture beneath their feet. This warmth wasn't strong, but its presence brought reassurance, reminding them the land offered ease even in harsh seasons. Imagine stepping onto this sunlit snow, feeling its quiet welcome. Occasionally, the herd slowed when reaching narrow passes between ridges. These tight corridors funneled wind in unpredictable ways and often attracted predators seeking advantage. Early humans approached these choke points carefully, pausing to listen for echoes of movement. If the herd continued calmly, humans followed. If the animals hesitated, humans trusted that instinct and waited. Imagine standing at the mouth of such a pass, your breath softening as you observe the land. From higher ground, humans could sometimes glimpse predators following far behind, wolves moving in single-file lines or larger hunters pacing slowly across ridges. These sightings didn't create panic. Instead, they reminded humans to stay close to the herd and maintain a steady pace. Distance and awareness were their greatest tools. Imagine watching these distant shapes, small against the vast snow, their presence only a quiet note in the landscape. When the herd reached open plains, the world expanded into a wide view of rolling white. Here, predators rarely attacked. There was too little cover. Early humans took these opportunities to rest, letting children explore shallow snow or gather smooth stones. The plains felt like a breath of calm in their journey, a reminder that not all parts of winter were difficult. Picture yourself standing on this open plain, the sky wide and comforting. Sometimes birds circled overhead, gliding on cold air currents. Their patterns revealed changes in the land. Gathering birds hinted at nearby water or carrion, while slow solitary flights suggested stable conditions. Early humans used these signs to adjust direction gradually. Imagine watching those slow arcs in the sky, each one a silent guide. As the day's light softened toward evening, the herd shadows stretched long across the snow. Early humans found comfort in these silhouettes, using them as markers of distance and movement. The stretch of shadows indicated how far they had traveled and how far they might continue before stopping. Imagine seeing those elongated shapes drifting peacefully over the ground, lulling your thoughts into a quieter place. Near sheltered valleys, humans found patches of exposed ground where the herd had brushed away snow to graze. These areas provided warmth from earth that had absorbed sunlight earlier in the day. Families often paused here, letting their bodies absorb the subtle heat while staying close to the herd's protective rhythm. Imagine kneeling on such a patch, feeling the quiet warmth rising from beneath. As darkness returned, predators grew more active once more. But early humans stayed near the herd, trusting that the cluster of animals deterred most hunters. The sound of many hooves moving together created a natural shield. Humans listened to this rhythm, soft, steady, constant. It soothed them through the night, much like a slow heartbeat beneath cold air. Imagine that rhythm now, steadying your own breath. When necessary, humans lit small fires in sheltered spots, using the glow sparingly to avoid drawing attention. The warmth, paired with the herd's presence, created a cocoon of safety. The fire spoke in quiet crackles while the herd murmured in low sounds nearby. Together, these layers of sound formed a gentle symphony of comfort. Imagine hearing these soft tones merge into a soothing background hum. During long migrations, humans sometimes walked by moonlight, guided by the silver outline of the herd ahead. Moonlit snow created a calm, glowing path that stretched endlessly across the plains. The night felt less dark, more dreamlike, shaped by pale reflections and soft shadows. Imagine following such a path, your steps unhurried, the glow easing your thoughts into a drifting calm. Sometimes predators retreated entirely for days, leaving no fresh signs. These quiet stretches allowed humans and herds to move freely, their paths uninterrupted. The absence of danger felt like a soft mercy woven into the land harshness. Imagine walking through one of these peaceful days, your awareness relaxed, the air gentle and still. As the journey continued, humans and herds settled into the same slow rhythm, moving when the land invited them forward, resting when the world fell into stillness. No moment felt rushed. No decision demanded urgency. Only quiet steps in snow, guided by instinct and patience. This is where part 2 settles, like a long exhale across frozen plains, leaving your thoughts softened and ready to drift wherever calm leads them. In the Ice Age world, early humans did not invent tools in isolation. They learned quietly from the land, from the animals that lived beside them, and from the patterns they observed with patient attention. Nature offered gentle guidance: how beavers cut wood, how birds laid nests against winter, how predators used angles and leverage without force. Imagine standing in this ancient landscape, watching people draw inspiration not from sudden ideas but from moments of noticing. This slow, attentive learning sets the tone for how tools began to take shape. Stone tools formed the foundation of daily life. Early humans selected stones not randomly, but by understanding which ones splintered cleanly and which resisted breaking. They learned these qualities by watching how river currents smoothed some rocks while leaving others jagged. Each choice carried intention. Imagine picking up such a stone, cool, textured, weighted perfectly for the task it was shaped to fulfill. When crafting blades, Early humans listened to the crisp sound of stone striking stone. A sharp, clear ring meant the rock could be shaped easily. A dull thud meant it would crumble. These sounds were subtle lessons the land whispered to them. With careful hands, they chipped away flakes to reveal edges capable of cutting through hide or slicing through plant fibers. Picture that rhythm of tap, 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 each strike slow and patient, echoing through cold air. Bone tools emerged from close observation as well. Humans noticed how animals used their limbs for strength and leverage, how certain bones endured pressure without cracking. They chose long, dense bones to carve into awls, needles, and smooth handles. These creations were not lavish. They were quiet, purposeful extensions of human hands. Imagine running your fingers along a polished bone tool, smooth, warm from use, shaped by both necessity and care. Wooden tools required different attention. Early humans studied how trees bent under snow, how branches snapped or held firm in storms. They selected wood that matched their needs, flexible for traps, sturdy for digging, dense for handles. Working with wood meant listening to how fiber split, how knots resisted carving, how grain guided the blade naturally. Imagine shaving thin curls from a branch, each curl falling softly like ribbons of bark. Even fire taught lessons. Watching how flames consumed wood, humans learned which materials burned slowly, which sparked quickly, and which produced warmth most effectively. These observations shaped future tools, torches, carrying embers, or hardened wooden points used for hunting. Picture a small flame dancing against the dark, its glow showing the textures of newly made tools resting nearby. Clothing and shelter tools were shaped from nature's examples too. Early humans saw how animals laid fur, how bird nests used insulation, and how snow acted as a natural barrier against wind. These insights guided them to create scrapers, needles, and hide softeners, simple but essential tools. Imagine holding one of these small scrapers, feeling the smooth handle worn down by countless hands before you. Even baskets and containers were inspired by observing plants. Watching grasses bend without breaking, humans wove fibers together into shapes that held food, water, and small tools. They learned tension and flexibility by watching how plants swayed in wind and survived the weight of snow. Imagine weaving strands of grass, each movement steady, each loop part of a calming rhythm. Tools were shaped over time, never rushed. Early humans worked slowly, often crafting by the fire during long winter nights. Sparks illuminated their hands, revealing the careful shaping of edges and handles. They took breaks when their hands tired, letting the warmth guide their pace. Imagine sitting beside them, watching the glow flicker across their tools in progress. Sometimes, inspiration came from observing predators. Humans watched how wolves bit through bone or how saber-toothed cats used jaw strength and angles to tear through hide. These moments weren't frightening, they were lessons in efficiency. From them, humans learned the importance of leverage and sharpness. Imagine studying such movements from a safe distance, realizing how nature demonstrated principles without words. The land itself acted as a teacher. Ice carved patterns into stone, showing humans how pressure shaped surfaces. Wind marked dunes and snowdrifts with arcs that revealed structure and direction. Humans mirrored these curves in their tools, handles shaped to fit palms comfortably, blades curved to match natural motion. Imagine holding a tool crafted with this care, fitting naturally into your grip. Over generations, toolcraft became a shared memory passed quietly between elders and youth. There were no written instructions, only demonstrations, slow adjustments, and gentle corrections. This knowledge grew like layers of sediment, each generation adding something new while honoring what came before. Imagine watching a child learning to strike stone for the first time, guided by soft-spoken advice. The pace of Ice Age life allowed for observation. Humans had time to watch the way icicles formed, how snow packed under weight, how branches bent under frost. These small observations had great impact, shaping tools and techniques that supported everyday survival. Imagine sitting quietly, noticing such tiny details as if seeing them for the first time. Tools weren't viewed as separate from nature. They were continuations of it, fragments of stone, bone, and would shape gently through human hands. These tools carried echoes of the land they came from and the lessons they embodied. Imagine passing one of these tools to someone beside you, feeling the weight of shared knowledge. And as day faded into dusk, early humans stored their tools neatly, respecting the effort required to create them. The quiet act of placing a blade or scraper beside the fire signaled the end of another day of learning. This is where part 1 settles, soft, unhurried, like a tool laid gently on fur-lined ground, waiting for the next morning's patient hands. As night settled across the snowy plains, early humans often gathered their tools close, placing them neatly beside small fires or tucking them into fur-lined pouches. The glow of flames revealed the shapes of these handmade objects: smooth edges, sharpened points, polished surfaces warmed by use. In this quiet moment, tools felt less like objects and more like trusted companions shaped through patience and observation. Imagine the warmth of a firelight reflecting softly across these simple creations, each one resting after a day of steady work. Before using a tool again, humans often inspected it in silence. They ran their fingers across the edges, checking for chips or wear. They tested the balance by holding it lightly, letting its weight guide their grip. These inspections weren't rushed. They were part of a calming ritual that strengthened connection to the tools and to the land that provided their materials. Imagine tracing the edge of a stone blade with gentle attention, your mind easing into the same slow rhythm. In the morning, tools were the first things to return to motion. A scraper softened stiff hides warmed by dawn fires. A stone blade sliced thin reeds for weaving. A bone needle stitched fur garments that protected families from fierce winds. Each movement was simple, circular, repetitive, like the steady beat of the day beginning. Early humans worked with a quiet focus, letting the rhythm of the task guide their thoughts. Imagine those repetitive motions now, soft and soothing. Some tools required occasional repair, resharpening stone blades, tightening bindings, or replacing wooden handles. These repairs were lessons in patience. One wrong strike could break days of work, but a calm hand could restore a tool to perfect function. Repairing a tool felt almost meditative, the sound of stone tapping stone resonating gently in the cold air. Imagine listening to those taps, each one steady, each one grounding your thoughts. Nature continued to teach even during repairs. Humans watched how ice cracked along smooth plains, teaching them how to create controlled fractures in stone. They observed how wind carved curves into dunes, inspiring ergonomic shapes for handles. They learned from the land without forcing it, by watching, listening, and understanding before acting. Imagine noticing such patterns in nature, letting them unfold slowly in your awareness. When tools broke beyond repair, humans returned them to the earth with calm acceptance. A broken bone all might be placed quietly beneath snow or near the roots of a tree. It wasn't ceremony, it was respect for the materials that once served them. And the land, in its slow cycles, reclaimed those fragments. Imagine placing a worn tool gently onto the ground, acknowledging its quiet journey alongside yours. Children learn toolcraft by sitting close to elders, watching every movement, absorbing knowledge long before they touch the tools themselves. Their first attempts were clumsy but cherished, each small success a sign that the memory of the community would carry forward. Imagine seeing a child holding a small stone, tapping gently, guided by warm, patient hands. Over time, tools became subtle markers of identity. Different families favored certain shapes or materials based on the land they traveled. A tool crafted in a snowy valley differed from one shaped near rocky cliffs, yet each carried the same thoughtful essence. Imagine examining these differences, variations that reflect landscapes, not competition. Tools also traveled with humans across long migrations, moving from shelter to valley to open plain. They were wrapped carefully in hides, protected from breaking. When families paused, tools emerged again like familiar friends returning to daylight. Imagine unwrapping such a tool, feeling its weight against your palm, steady and reliable. During shared tasks, cleaning hides, repairing clothing, preparing food, tools created a gentle chorus of sound. Scraping, cutting, tapping, brushing. These noises blended with the crackle of fire and the soft hum of conversation, forming a soothing background rhythm that accompanied everyday life. Imagine hearing that blend of sounds now, each one softening your thoughts further. Some tools were passed through generations, their edges smoothed by repeated hands. These heirloom pieces weren't treasured for magic or power. They held value because they represented time, labor, and quiet continuity. Each mark told a subtle story of seasons endured and lessons learned. Imagine holding such a tool, feeling the history of touch embedded in its surface. Crafting new tools during winter nights was especially peaceful. Outside, wind smoothed the plains into silence. Inside a shelter, sparks rose gently as stone struck stone. Adults worked slowly, children drifted to sleep nearby, and the warmth of fire kept hands flexible. These nights felt timeless, moments where patience shaped not only tools but minds. Imagine sitting in that warm glow, watching flakes of stone fall like tiny sparks. Tools also helped humans teach children about respect for animals, for materials, for the land that offered resources. Nothing was taken lightly. Every piece of bone, wood, or stone was used with intention. This mindful use created balance between survival and gratitude. Imagine feeling that calm balance settle into your awareness, steadying your breath. And as dusk approached again, the tools found their place beside the fire once more, their work complete for the day. They rested in quiet alignment, echoing the peaceful order of the community around them. The sounds of crafting faded into evening stillness. The story settles here, like a polished blade resting on soft hide, inviting your thoughts to rest in the same gentle quiet. In the vast stillness of the Ice Age, every creature, human or animal, moved through the same cold air, stepped across the same frozen ground, and listened to the same shifting winds. Survival wasn't loud or dramatic. It unfolded gently through observation, patience, and respect for the land's quiet rhythm. Early humans did not dominate their world, nor did the animals around them. Instead, they shared space, navigating the frozen landscape with a calm balance shaped by mutual presence. Imagine standing within that world, feeling the equal weight of life all around you, each breath steady, each step unhurried. Humans walked slowly across snow-covered plains, leaving footprints that intertwined with the tracks of reindeer, wolves, and mammoths. These overlapping trails formed a silent network, evidence that many beings traveled the same routes, each seeking warmth, food, or shelter. There was no strict boundary between where humans belonged and where animals belonged. The land held room for all. Imagine tracing one of these shared paths, sensing the gentle harmony carried in the snow. At times, humans paused to watch birds circle above, their movements signaling the presence of herds or the shifting of weather. Other times, they crouched beside fresh tracks pressed into soft frost, reading the direction and purpose behind each impression. These quiet moments weren't just for gathering information. They were reminders that humans were part of a larger story, one written by all creatures moving across the ice. Imagine kneeling beside such tracks, feeling the calm connection between observer and observed. Predators moved through this world as well, but their presence didn't always bring danger. Often, humans and predators avoided each other naturally, guided by instinct. A distant howl or the faint scuff of paws across snow informed humans of where not to walk. And in return, predators sensed human movement long before drawing near. This unspoken agreement created a gentle balance, one that allowed both to survive without unnecessary conflict. Imagine listening to these distant sounds, not with fear, but with quiet understanding. Sheltered valleys became shared havens during storms. Humans huddled near fires, while animals tucked themselves into hollows or beneath overhanging rock. The land provided refuge impartially, offering quiet corners where life could rest. These moments of temporary closeness were not interactions. They were overlapping pauses in a world of movement. Imagine the hush of a snowstorm outside, the way every living being waited patiently for calm to return. Water sources served as another point of quiet coexistence. Frozen lakes, thawing streams, and narrow trickles beneath ice brought humans and animals to the same spots at different hours. Tracks led around these places told stories of who came before and who might come after. Early humans learned to read these stories with gentle accuracy, adjusting their timing to avoid disturbance. Imagine touching the surface of a half-frozen stream, feeling the cold pulse that connected countless lives. As migration seasons unfolded, humans often walked parallel to herds, matching their steady rhythm across plains. This proximity wasn't pursuit, it was companionship shaped by shared goals: warmth, food, and safe passage. Humans benefited from the herd's knowledge of the land, while animals remained calm knowing humans kept respectful distance. Imagine walking beside these shifting silhouettes at dawn, your breath blending with theirs in the cold morning air. Evidence of past movement lingered in the form of worn trails, trampled snow, and broken twigs. These subtle marks stitched the world together, showing how countless beings carved pathways through the same terrain. Early humans learned to read these signs like a map crafted by all who lived there. Every mark was a reminder that the land was shared, that survival was a communal effort shaped by many. Imagine following these faint traces across a quiet ridge, your footsteps merging with those who came before. Shelters, too, reflected this interconnectedness. Humans built structures that echoed the forms found in nature: dens shaped by animals, caves carved by wind, snowbanks sculpted by storms. These shelters blended into the environment, becoming part of the land rather than imposing on it. Inside, humans felt protected not only by the walls they built but by the harmony between their homes and the world outside. Imagine stepping into such a shelter, feeling the peaceful unity between structure and surroundings. Occasionally, humans found remains of animals that had passed naturally, bones bleached by cold or fur frozen into snow. These were not signs of cruelty or dominance. They were quiet reminders of the cycle of life. Early humans used these remains respectfully, turning them into tools or materials that extended their own survival without waste. Imagine picking up a smooth piece of bone, feeling the story it holds, shaped by both life and time. Hunting, when necessary, was done with restraint and purpose. Early humans took only what they needed and always recognized that life came from the one who created all existence. Their respect for animals guided their actions, ensuring that hunts were careful, deliberate, and balanced. Imagine preparing for such a task with calm clarity, guided by need rather than excess. When food was gathered or prepared, nothing echoed loudly. The tasks were soft: cutting, scraping, drying, each movement quiet and rhythmic. Human survival fit naturally into the environment's calm, reinforcing a sense of belonging rather than disruption. Imagine hearing these gentle sounds blending with wind across the snow. Children learned early how to move through this world with sensitivity. They played quietly near shelters, mimicking the tracks of animals or practicing the soft footsteps needed to move across brittle snow. Their laughter was muted by the cold air, becoming another soft layer in the world's quiet tapestry. Imagine watching these small figures move carefully, learning harmony from their earliest days. And as daylight faded across frozen plains, humans and animals alike found places to rest. The shared silence of evening wrapped the land in a gentle stillness. No creature owned the world, all simply lived within it. This is where part one settles, softly, like snow lowering itself onto a vast open field, inviting your thoughts into the same quiet balance. As humans moved across the landscape, they rarely traveled alone in spirit. Birds glided above, their shadows sweeping quietly across snow. Small animals darted from burrows, leaving fleeting trails that disappeared beneath fresh frost. Even insects hidden beneath bark played their part in the rhythm of survival. Early humans noticed these small movements, understanding that every creature, no matter how small, contributed to the balance of life. Imagine observing these subtle traces, each one a gentle reminder that the world was filled with quiet companions. Weather shaped this balance as well. When wind shifted to the north, humans sensed colder days ahead and prepared accordingly, just as animals thickened their fur or sought deeper shelter. Storm clouds gathering along the horizon signaled shared urgency. Both humans and animals moved towards safer ground. There was no competition, only parallel responses shaped by instinct. Imagine watching a sky heavy with snow, feeling the world prepare together in calm unity. During long migrations, humans often paused near ancient cliff faces carved by ice. These towering structures acted as natural markers, guiding travelers across seasons. Animals used them too, rubbing against their rough surfaces or sheltering beneath their shadows. The cliffs held countless memories of movement, scratches, faint prints, and wind-smooth hollows. Humans recognized these signs as evidence of shared history. Imagine standing beneath such a cliff, sensing the quiet presence of generations that passed before. Streams winding through the plains brought life even in deep winter. Animals approached cautiously, and humans timed their visits to avoid overlapping paths. Frozen surfaces sometimes revealed tracks led upon one another: fox, deer, bird, human, all converging at the same essential source. This shared reliance created a subtle harmony among species. Imagine kneeling beside a frozen stream, the cold air rising, the quiet reflecting the balance of needs. Even the night sky played its role. Constellations guided movement, helping humans maintain direction when snow erased familiar landmarks. Animals responded to lunar light as well, adjusting their patterns with the glow of the moon. The sky connected all beings beneath it, offering guidance without discrimination. Imagine looking up into that vast, cold sky, feeling its quiet guidance steady your thoughts. In peaceful valleys, humans built temporary encampments that left almost no mark on the land. When they moved on, snow drifted over footprints, wind smoothed surfaces, and the plains returned to their untouched state. This minimal presence reflected an understanding that the land belonged to all creatures. Imagine watching a camp fade gently back into the landscape, as if settling into its natural rhythm once more. Sometimes, humans encountered herds resting quietly in the gloom of early morning. They moved around them with calm respect, giving the animals wide space. This respectful coexistence allowed both to share the land without fear. Humans learned that harmony came not from control, but from understanding boundaries. Imagine walking slowly past a resting herd, feeling no tension, only shared stillness. Carcasses left by predators or by nature provided valuable resources. Humans approached these remains carefully, using bones, fur, or scraps of hide left untouched. They took only what was useful, acknowledging the natural cycle that made these materials available. No waste, no disregard, just mindful use. Imagine collecting such materials with deliberate, respectful motions. Firelight at dusk illuminated gatherings of humans preparing small meals or tending tools. The glow also revealed animal tracks nearby, faint signatures of those who passed earlier. These quiet overlaps reminded humans that life continued around them constantly, even when unseen. Imagine watching those faint prints appear in firelight, evidence of shared presence in the dark. Long journeys shaped strong memory. People recalled where herds migrated, where predators roamed, where shelters formed naturally, and where water stayed frozen longest. These memories blended with the instincts of animals, creating a shared knowledge of the land. Humans learned from nature while nature continued its own quiet rhythm. Imagine carrying such knowledge gently in your mind, woven from countless observations. Children born into this world grew up aware of these connections. They learned to move softly, observe carefully, and treat the land with respect. Their games mirrored the patterns of animals, their curiosity guided by watching the world closely. With time, they became part of the same balance that shaped generations before them. Imagine seeing children move quietly across snow, their footprints small yet confident among the trails of other creatures. As seasons changed, the shared world shifted too. Snow melted into rivers, rivers carved new paths, herds moved north or south, and humans followed. Nothing stayed still for long, yet nothing felt chaotic. The rhythm of survival flowed naturally, shaped by countless beings adapting together. Imagine watching the landscape transform gently, its cycles familiar and calming. At the heart of it all was a simple truth. Humans did not live apart from the land or above it. They lived within it, one part of a larger, delicate balance where every creature contributed to the harmony of survival. This understanding shaped their choices, softened their movements, and brought purpose to even the quietest tasks. Imagine holding this truth gently, feeling the calm it brings. And now, As this final segment settles, let your thoughts drift into that same quiet balance. The Ice Age world, vast, cold, and gentle, was shared peacefully by many beings who listened, observed, and moved with care. This story, like their footsteps in snow, invites you to rest in the calm rhythm they once lived. Thank you for listening to this story, for walking through the snow-covered world with such patience and quiet presence. May the calm linger with you, and may your night be filled with warmth, rest, and gentle peace.